Recording in progress.
Al vlezak obače.
So guys, today we have one amazing speaker. Speaker is Martin. He will speak about the right of health. So please follow, listen, and you will have time to ask questions because this is not video, this is live. So he's here with us. So if you have any questions, always write, make the notes. He will make the rules of his session. So Martin, please feel free to explain how would you like to work. Do you like to be interrupted by the session, or they can wait until end of the session to ask you a question, or how you like it more? Thank you and welcome.
I see. Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. So first of all, good morning, everybody. My name is Martin, and I'll be talking to you about several things: sport, extreme sport, mountaineering, healthy food choices, and a little bit of lifestyle, etc. I'll be mainly sharing my experience. And about how I see this session, I'm quite flexible. So maybe I would like to invite you to be more interactive, proactive, and I don't mind if you have a urgent question. Just let me know somehow that you want to ask something. Maybe you can raise your hand. Of course, we're going to have this Q&A time, and now and then I will pause and I will invite you to ask your questions if you have some. But you can ask me anything, anytime. So, can we start, or is there something else that we have to do?
No, you can start. Really.
Okay. So, as you probably already know, I'm from Bulgaria, but right now I'm in the Arctic area, northern Finland, in Lapland. I'm exactly on the Arctic Circle line, and thanks to the technology, we can have this meeting, although I really wish I was there present physically. But let me tell you how I ended up here so far in the north. It was because of one Erasmus exchange program. It was very, very long time ago. It was in 2012. I was a bachelor degree student in one Bulgarian university. And then I heard about this Erasmus exchange programs where you can go for one semester or one whole academic year and study abroad. And I had no idea what is this all about. And I joined a presentation of a guide who has already been on this Erasmus program and was just back. And I heard his story, and I thought that would be something really cool to try. And I remember that the interest among my co-students about studying destinations, exchange destinations, was to countries like Italy, Germany, Spain, countries that are closer to Bulgaria and the weather is relatively the same. And there was lots of demand for these destinations. And there was this one very strange, weird university in Lapland, in northern Finland, called actually University of Lapland in Rovaniemi, which is actually the town of Santa Claus. And because it was so far north that people didn't dare to apply. And I'm usually going against the flow of people. So if I see people heading to some direction, I'm heading to the opposite direction. And I decided to go to a place where no one wanted to go. And I ended up in this small town in Finland, in Lapland. And during my Erasmus exchange student period, I fell in love with this place and the north. And I decided one day to come back here for my master studies. And this is what I did. I went back home to Bulgaria. I graduated with the bachelor's, and then I moved back to Finland to do my master degree. And because I had to sustain my life, I had to pay my bills, I had to find a job immediately. and I started working as a guide, tourism guide here. And this involves all the cool things you can imagine: snowmobiling, huskies, reindeer, Santa Claus visits, Northern Lights, etc. Something that usually people have to pay lots of money to experience. I ended up getting paid to do all these things, and simultaneously I was studying. In one hand, this was a really good choice because it helped me have a very relaxed and financially relaxed lifestyle. But of course, also because of the work, I didn't have that much time to study, and the study was supposed to take 2 years for master's degree, but it took me actually 4 years. But I enjoyed every single year of my studies. And I graduated with my master's a long time ago, but I'm still here coming every winter to work in tourism field. So about the time when this happened, when I was taking my Erasmus program choices, I also got interested into sport. And when I was about your age, that was the last period when I did some sport in my life. As a teenager, I was doing different sports, but never mountaineering. And then at about your age, I stopped doing sport until 15 years later, maybe, when I decided to start again. And how I started is I happened to read one book called Born to Run, a book that I recommend you. And in this book, they talk about a tribe in South America that it is into their culture to run every day. Whatever they do, they just run. And I read that there are people who can run about 300 kilometers. And I was shocked. I thought that that's impossible. No one can run anything like this. But somehow this triggered my curiosity and I started running. And first my dream was to run 5 kilometers. Then I saw online there is a race of 10 kilometers. And I really wanted to do it, but I was afraid to sign up because I thought I was going to die if I have to run 10 kilometers. So I actually didn't sign up for this race, but I kept running. 2 kilometers today, 2 kilometers tomorrow, very short distances. But these distances somehow started growing. And at some point, I noticed that I can easily run 10 kilometers. And then I started dreaming about running a classic distance marathon, 42 kilometers. And I remember that day when I did it. And I have this, it's in Bulgaria, it's called some kind of personal doctor, GP. And I called him and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that be aware that today I'm going to run a marathon. If something happens, you're going to be the first person to call if I need some help. But I didn't need any help. I ran 42 kilometers and I didn't die. And I was really happy about this. And I didn't stop here. I started dreaming even more. Then I learned about this ultra distance running of more than 42 kilometers. And 3 years later, I run my longest distance of 160 kilometers in the mountains. I'm doing trail running. So basically, I don't run on asphalt. I don't run on stadium. I just hit the trail somewhere in the mountains, and this is where I run. And I could not believe how in 3 years' time, from 0 kilometers, I started running 160 kilometers. And I was surprised how much capacity every human body has, so how much unexplored capacity we have. So to be honest, when I completed this 160 kilometers run, I struggled most of the time. It wasn't fun, it was so much pain. And I realized that to run these kind of distances, I cannot go on sugar, I cannot go on energy drinks. Red Bull doesn't help. What I have to do is to have very strong body, very, very healthy lifestyle on a daily basis. It doesn't work if you eat junk food most of the time, but now and then you have your apple. It just doesn't work this time if you want to run and to be super strong and run these long distances, and not only to run these long distances, just to feel strong when you're hiking, when you're in the mountain, and even in your lifestyle, when you're in the city, in the university. If you want your brain to be super sharp and awake and that your body feels happy, then it's about daily choices. And I got interested into healthy lifestyle, and I started reading a lot. Not random articles over internet, but scientific papers. So the first thing I did is to watch my energy levels, body energy levels. And I got rid of sugar, white sugar. I don't know if you know, but white sugar is a food that doesn't exist in nature. It's artificially created. Gives you very fast energy, but very short energy. And when I started running in the beginning, I was still addicted to sugar. And I would go for a run, and every 20 minutes, I need some sugar because my energy levels would drop so low that I just cannot move any further. I started feeling dizzy every time, and what I needed was just sugar. And then I thought that this has nothing to do with healthy lifestyle. If I have to go for 2 hours run and eat half kilo of sugar, I don't want to do that. What's the point? And I stopped completely consuming white sugar. And in the beginning, it wasn't easy for my body to adjust. But after a couple of weeks, my body found a way to get the energy, not from white sugar, but from carbohydrates and fats. And then I realized I can run 3-4 hours without any food. I wasn't getting hungry, and my energy level wasn't dropping down. And that was amazing experience for me. And nowadays I can easily go for 50 kilometers without any kind of food with me. So if I can give you one piece of advice about healthy lifestyle that I'm pretty sure it will apply to everybody, it is to get rid of white sugar. Probably many of you are going to be disappointed, but this helped me a lot to feel very, very energetic in a long time. So I am not a specialist in everything, all the fields, all the health issues, and all the experience, good and bad, that you can have in the mountains. I'm more specialized into endurance sport and sport in cold conditions. And I learned this about exercising outdoors in cold here in Lapland. Here in Lapland, in the winter, it easily gets minus 30 degrees Celsius. But, you know, I still have to go for my run. And I grew up in Bulgaria, and I grew up in an environment where we would usually go outside in summertime. And when the weather is bad or cold, it's more like indoor. And I grew up among people who would tell me, stay home, it's cold outside. Don't go out, you'll get sick. Now, from today's perspective, I think that this didn't make sense. I think these advices were quite silly. Now I think that there is no such thing as a cold weather, but maybe an appropriate clothing, dressing. And Homo sapiens have survived, if I remember well, 5 ice ages. I think we are meant to be outside, even in cold conditions. and it was like for around -9 degrees Celsius. So I have a YouTube channel where I started uploading my experience. Believe in a new world and explores a new life, then this person should share this experience. And people have different ways to share their experience. And my ways, this is my hobby, to make some YouTube videos to share my experience. So just to give you a perspective, what does it mean to run in cold, to survive in cold conditions? I will share my screen now, and I will play some short moments of my videos that you can actually see how does it look to be in Lapland, how does it look to run on -20, -30, how do I dress up, and then I will continue talking. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Are you sure?
Just a second.
Yes. By the way, do you guys have any questions so far? Is there anything that you don't know? Okay.
Could you check?
Yes.
We have a question from Ali.
We have a question. Just a second.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Maybe can you come just closer here because we can hear you better.
Mic is around. We're in
Hey,
the lab.
computer, yeah.
Okay. Good morning.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw the guy who was running ultra or Spartan ultra or something like that. He ordered a pizza as he was running. So he ate the pizza, and they had to find his location, like live location. So he was like eating his pizza to kind of help him continue the race. I don't know if you have seen that.
I have heard about people doing that. Yes. That's actually a very good point. And I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I forgot to tell something, that I'm trying to have literally 100% healthy food choices on a daily basis. But this doesn't apply when I'm on an ultra race. And when I'm on an ultra race, I can take some sugar. Basically, you know, when we run, we have these aid stations every 15 kilometers. There is a place with people to help you, to give you water, and there is a table with some snack or food. And actually, during these races, I don't mind what I'm eating. Sometimes I can have a glass of Coca-Cola, something sweet, chocolate, pizza, of course, if there is there. Basically, in this moment, I only need my calories, fast calories. But this is only the ultra races. So I think it's okay if people stick to the advice of the 90% rule. 90% rule means that if your food choices, 90% of your food choices are healthy, then your body will be just so strong that if you now and then get some unhealthy food, your body is so strong that wouldn't care. So I know many people, including me, eat very unhealthy during races. But of course, these races, I have 5 races maximum per year. So I don't think this impacts my life. And again, what I need on the races is calories, very fast calories.
Thank you. Good question. Good question.
Go ahead.
I would like to ask if it's some days that you cannot run, like for personal reason or some, you do it every day, running?
I'm trying to run every day, but of course I'm working and I have my life, and I don't run every day. But on the days when I don't run, I'm trying to exercise. It can be at home. For example, I love calisthenics, which is exercising using your body weight. And what I can do is I can stay on plank, you know, this plank position that you lay down, face down, and you keep your body straight on your elbows. And I can stay like this for as long as possible. Or I can go to the gym. Basically, I'm not running every day, although I'm trying to. There's actually very strong scientific evidence that Homo sapiens is really meant to run. And in the past, when people were mostly hunting or collecting fruits, looking for their food, people were, on average, they were running and walking between 20 and 30 kilometers every day. And Homo sapiens was doing this for the longest period of its existence. Therefore, researchers concluded that the thing that our body is most adjusted to is running. That's why many people suggest that humans are really born to run. And from today's perspective of a very sedentary lifestyle, like people that don't move much, many jobs are, you're just sitting all day long. And from today's perspective, if you say that you're going for 5 kilometers run every day, for some people might sound too much. Some might say, hey, that's not healthy, every day 5 kilometers. But in fact, if you're healthy, this is nothing. And as I told you, most likely human body is created, has evolved in a way to cope every day with between 20 and 30 kilometers. So I think it's completely fine if you run every day 20 kilometers, but let's not go this far. Let's start with something more doable. Even I'm not every day 20 kilometers.
We have one more question, please.
Yes, I have.
Please go.
Hi. Firstly, I really enjoy your representation, and I'm so sorry that you don't see our face. I enjoyed it very much. My first question is, what's your opinion about the energy gels? They contain other form of sugar. It is good or it is bad in time of running?
Yeah, these energy gels, I used to take a lot of them in the beginning. As I said in the beginning, my kind of body energy levels were really bad and I needed sugar. And of course, I started taking energy gels. They are full of sugar, of course, but they also have things, electrolytes, vitamins, things that we usually burn out during a long run. And I would say it's always good to have one energy gel in your pocket when you're on a very long hike or very long run. But if you need energy gel to go for 5 kilometers run, this doesn't make sense, because if you cannot run 5 kilometers and if you need so much sugar for that, then you have done many mistakes before, mistakes in your daily life. And as I said, I used to take energy gels because that was the only way for me to go through long runs. But little by little, naturally, I stopped taking energy gels. I would have them in my running backpack. And when I finished the race, I realized that I didn't take any. It is because that my energy level never went so low that I needed this fast sugar. On the races, as I said, every about 15 kilometers, we have a table of food. And there I can take a slice of bread, real food actually. And this is enough for me to bring me to the next aid station 15 kilometers later. So it was a natural process that my body said, I don't need energy gels anymore. So I would say I'm not against, but I don't need them anymore. And I am okay with energy gels during races, but not on a daily basis that you would go for a run, just for jogging.
Okay, thank you. And I have another question. You are a really experienced people. Did you do any mistakes in your runnings? You don't choose the right clothes, or you don't eat well during the day? Do you make any mistakes still?
Yes, of course. Very good question. I think I can write a book about my mistakes. It's just, I keep making mistakes. Especially when you go on a long run with high elevation. Because you can start from a place you know already where is Sofia, and it's 20 degrees. And we have this race that we run to Chernivrh on Vituša mountain. So in Sofia might be 20 degrees. On the top, 3 hours later only, it took me 3 hours from the city center of Sofia to go to Chernivrh. And there, once it was -5. Before I get to the top, there is a rain. So imagine you start on +20, and if you make your clothes choices on +20, you start running up the mountain, and you get wet because of the sweat, because of the rain. And then 1 hour later, you end up in -5 and wind. It's very hard to estimate your clothing all the time. And many times I have been with inappropriate clothing. It's just wrong choice of clothes or not enough clothes. And as we are already kind of on the topic of safety, I don't want to forget. I want to ask you, do you know what's that?
Yes.
Yes, we know.
A safety blanket, right? That's one different option. I think it's more higher quality, but the basic ones are this. And if I can summarize the safety about mountaineering and long distance running into one thing, what's the most important thing? I would say always have with you this aluminum foil. I have finished maybe at least 10% of my races covered with aluminum foil. I still have this issue with losing so much energy on a long run that my body doesn't have the energy to keep the temperature. And I start shivering and I start feeling very cold during races. Even when the weather is, say, +15 degrees, I can feel so cold that I've been close to hypothermia on +15 degrees. And what I do then, I just cover myself with this and I can make it to the final. Of course, you know already about this, keeps your body temperature. And please have this with you. It costs maybe €3, just so cheap, but that's the thing you have to have in your backpack, and it helped me so many times.
Thank you. We have another question. Please.
Yes, please. I'm happy that you're asking.
You can speak to the middle.
You can look at me.
What's the difference in amounts of food consumption in Finland and in Bulgaria? Because the colder weather requires more food. So what's your experience in this? Do you need more food or you eat just healthy food?
Yes, another good question. I love the comparison of the human body and the battery of your phone. Because to my observation, they both work in a similar way. depending on the temperature outside. Let's say your battery phone can survive the whole day if you're outside and the weather is plus 30 degrees. But if you're here outside and it's minus 30, your phone battery may not last longer than 1 hour. So it is similar with the human body. When it's cold, you burn much more calories, even if you're doing nothing, just because your body is trying to survive. And to heat up your body, to keep the temperature high, you burn extreme amount of calories. Doesn't matter if you're running, doesn't matter if you're just standing like this outside, not doing anything. You burn so much more calories. And also based on my experience as a guide here, I have met thousands of customers from all over the world, and they all confirm that when they come here, they eat more. And I tell them not to worry, they will not gain weight. They need these calories so they stay warm. And your question is very, very reasonable because it makes lots of sense. I eat much more when I'm here. I need much more calories when I run on minus 30 compared to running on plus 30. And here, if you're running cold, you have to take food that gives you long-term energy. And this mainly comes from fat. Second is carbohydrates. Sugar will not help you at all. Sugar will give you this fast boost of energy, but when you burn this sugar, your energy will drop lower than it was before. And then what you need, more sugar and more sugar and more sugar, and then this already doesn't make any sense. So yes, I need more food here, and food that keeps my energy for much longer. And by the way, one thing I have to tell you to keep in mind is that I eat plant-based food, which means vegan. But I don't want to promote vegan eating, because for this you have to have knowledge. Many people think that vegan food is just you can stop eating dairy and meat, but that's not enough. And I'm probably the only vegan in the world that tells people, hey, if you don't know how to be vegan, just don't worry about this, eat whatever you like. To be vegan, just to mention a few words about this, and doing sport and even not doing sport, is important to take vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, you have it in the milk, cheese, meat, in all the animal products, but nowadays you don't have it in the fruits and vegetables. Vitamin B12 is a bacteria that is in the soil. And if you collect your food yourself, organic food from the wild, and eat it without washing it, you consume vitamin B12. But the road of vitamin B12 from the soil to our table in the modern life is interrupted by using lots of pesticides and by over-sanitizing our food. We have to wash our vegetables and fruits a lot, and this washes away any remains of vitamin B12. And if you run low on vitamin B12, this can be very, very bad for your health and for your brain as well. Luckily, human body can store so much vitamin B12 that if you stop consuming vitamin B12 today, you will have enough of vitamin B12 for the next 2 years. So I'm not promoting vegan, but just that I'm talking about food and a healthy lifestyle. I think it's fair for you to know that I am 99% vegan, which means maybe a couple of times a year I can take some non-vegan food. Being a vegan can be a little bit of challenge, and especially when you live in North. Here we don't grow fruits and vegetables, and everything is delivered from far away. But for a really long time, I survived.
Other questions? No questions, you can proceed.
Okay. So let me try to share my screen. So how does it look? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So as I said, I'm making videos myself, and I want to show you how does it look to run in Lapland, in the Arctic area. Just a couple of minutes, and what I'm doing here.
I think when you share the screen, you didn't tap the box for the sound. Can you reshare the screen, please? When you're sharing the screen, before you choose option, you have the small square where is written share with sound. So just stop sharing, and when you next time want to share, you will see the small square on before you choose Windows. So share screen, and then on the options you see down, it's written choose it, share with sound.
With sound.
With sound, yes.
Is it better now?
We don't have sound. I don't know. The video has sound or not, but we don't have.
Well, it's just music, basically.
But it's good to have music behind. Motivation, like Rocky Balboa.
Sorry. Is it with sound now?
Yeah, you can now put full screen. It's not a problem.
Running in cold, what you should be more aware of is not your interiors, but your exteriors, which means that you have to have every piece of skin covered. I have this polyamide fleece and these tights as a base. I use these sport polyester materials, but often I use wool, merino wool. I think as long as it's not cotton, sport clothing will do. I have already one tiny scarf here, And then I'm gonna need another one on top. I'm gonna need another pair of trousers. These are very, very skinny, windproof material. I'm not gonna have anything waterproof on me because it just doesn't make sense. Waterproof materials are usually less breathable. This is a merino wool hat. And then I'm gonna take this jacket. It's not very thick, it's very breathable material. I think this is more than enough, and if I keep a good pace, I believe I'm gonna even overheat. The gloves I'm gonna go for, I think they're also a bit too much for this kind of weather. They're down gloves. Mittens, I like mittens because when your fingers are together, and then they're always warmer. So beautiful. So, can you hear me now? So can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So just wanted you to see how does it look like and how I dress up, and tell you a few words about dressing up. You probably know all of these things, so I'll go briefly. And again, please ask me anything. So pretty much anytime when you go to the mountains, and always when it's cold, you have to be dressed in layers. As I showed you in the video, the sport layers for sport are doing a really good job. I always prefer merino wool when I'm going for a hike, because it's supposed to keep the temperature regardless if your clothes are already wet or not, which is not quite true. If you get wet or if you're sweating too much, you start feeling cold anyway. So I usually, when I go for a hike, let's say not run, and it's -30, I have at least 5 layers of me. And it's all about adjustment of layers during the hike. The point is to try not to sweat. And I'm telling you, literally every 20 minutes, I either take off something from me or put something on me. If you sweat too much when it's cold and you get totally wet, then your clothes are losing their isolation capacity. You can have the best clothes in the world, the most expensive icebreaker merino wool from New Zealand. All these things, they don't work when they're wet. So it's all about layering. Any questions so far? Some of you, I think, went to Chernivrh yesterday or the other day. Did you make it all the way up and back?
Yes, you can agree. We know that you make it.
Good job. I was worried about you.
Share the question.
What shoes do you use in the winter runnings? I see you run in the snow, and it is really tricky.
Yes. Here in Lapland, I have special shoes. The brand is called Icebug, and on the sole they have metal spikes. They're with Gore-Tex material, so your feet are not supposed to get wet if you step in a snow or in a puddle of water, and the metal spikes are protecting you from slipping on the ice. So I have special winter running boots. Here in Rovaniemi, we have a winter race in February, and many people from all over the world are coming to run it. There are 3 distances: 66 kilometers, that's the one I run, 150 kilometers, and 300 kilometers. And I remember one guy from Italy had his toes amputated, and it wasn't even very cold. It was maybe -2 degrees, something like this. And -2 is very tricky temperature, because when you start running, you feel hot. But that guy got his feet wet, and he kept running for something like 8-9 hours, and he couldn't feel that his toes are getting so cold and frozen that they lost the blood circulation. So when you feel cold, usually you feel cold on your feet, on your hands. This is because your body is trying to survive and takes all the blood that you have around the important parts for you that you need to stay alive, which is in your torso, your heart, your lungs, liver, etc. And the body takes all the blood from your hands and legs and concentrate it in your torso. So this is what happened with that guy. He didn't have almost any blood in his feet, down in the toes, but he wasn't feeling cold. And when he finished the race, and he took his shoes off, and then he unfortunately noticed that some of his toes are dead. They stayed for too long without blood circulation. And it was a surprise for everyone because it wasn't cold. Around 0 degrees here, it's not cold. You feel it warm. And when you go to run, you sweat. And in this tricky condition, he lost his toes. So that the question about the shoes is very, very important. Basically, the rule is if you lose the sensation of some parts of your body, then you should take immediate action. If you cannot feel your toes, this means they don't have blood inside. And what I usually do is, even when it's cold, I take my shoe off and I'm giving a massage, very hard massage, hitting my feet, trying to move my toes just to restore the blood circulation. This reminds me of one kind of stereotype. People say that when it's cold, you have to have a hat because you lose your body heat mainly from your head. This is simultaneously true and not true. You can lose your body heat from your head, but you can lose it from any part of your body that is not covered. If you have short sleeves, you lose your body heat from the hands. If you have short pants, you lose your body heat from your legs. And when it's very cold, it's important to have all of your exteriors, so-called, all of your skin covered. In extreme cold conditions, you should be, as I said in the video, you shouldn't worry about your interiors, your lungs, etc., but your skin, because these frostbites are very dangerous. I will simultaneously again try to show you. I just started working on one presentation. I wanted to show you a picture. Can you see my screen now?
Oh, no, because you're in a focus. Move yourself on the side.
So I wanted to show one photo. Where I got my.
Now we can see the screen. Just show us the photo.
Thanks. So this is the photo I was talking about, the one at the middle. Okay. Sorry. So now you want to see it in a bigger screen. Do you see it well? The one at the middle?
Yeah.
So you see my nose and my cheeks are totally white. They're frozen. My skin got frozen. This is called frostbites. This happened only in maybe 1 minute snowmobiling. It was minus 20 degrees and we were driving the snowmobiles and it was very windy. We were crossing one lake. And it took less than 1 minute to get these frostbites. Luckily enough, they didn't go very deep and my skin recovered a couple of weeks after that. But if I only continued like this for 30 minutes, I wouldn't be as handsome anymore. Basically, the injuries would be so bad that most of the skin from my face had to be removed. And what I want you to know about this is many people believe that when they start getting frozen, people believe that you start feeling this cold and pain and then you cannot take it anymore. But it is not like this. You feel chilly. On my face, it was even pleasantly cold, like refreshing cold. You don't feel how you're freezing. Strange enough, but you just don't feel it, especially when it's on your face. And I didn't know my face got frozen. And I got off the snowmobile and with my colleagues, we met on the other side of the lake and I pulled my helmet out. And when I saw their faces looking at me so scared, I realized that something bad happened to my face. And what they did is they took their gloves out of their hands and they put their paws on my frozen parts. This is what you have to do, just to warm your face and frozen parts as soon as possible. So the blood starts circulating again. So there are different stages of frostbites. I would say 4 stages. And this is stage number 1. I recovered very quickly, and the feeling in the next 1 week was as if I had my face burned. Basically, it's a very similar reaction. You feel like after you warm up, after the frostbites, you feel like you have burned your face. And frostbites are treated in a very similar way as when you burn your skin. So one thing to take out of this, the experience that I told you about the guy who lost his toes on about 0 degrees Celsius, and my face here is that you shouldn't expect to feel when you're getting frozen because you don't feel it. Just be checking all the time on yourself. And on the left side of the screen, you can see one of the races I finished with the safety blanket. And so far, I have finished maybe 6 or 7 races like this using the safety blanket because I feel so cold that I'm shivering all the time. That's about the frostbites. Otherwise, about mountain experience, my experience is mainly in the Bulgarian mountains, and abroad I have done the tour of Mont Blanc in the Alps, and I have climbed Mont Blanc. I'm not saying this to brag myself, but just that you know from what kind of perspective I'm talking and what sort of experience I have. Do you have any questions about cold, frostbites, and something else, anything?
I have questions but from perspective of normal people. I think most of the people would ask you if you are not paid to do this, why you're doing this? You know, you're putting yourself in danger. It's like all extreme sports. Like what drives you? What's pushing you to, you know, believe in yourself, to put in new limits, to put new goals, and you know, usually people always ask extreme sports people why are you doing this, and you're investing in yourself, but just putting yourself in danger.
Thank you for this question. I love talking about that. When I was your age, that was about the last time when I had dreams, like unlimited dreams. I believed that I'm gonna have super interesting life. But then the reality hit me really badly. And I had to start working to make it living, and my life became really boring, guys. Really, really boring. And I was 28 when I realized that my life is so boring and I'm so much out of shape that I started feeling depressed. I didn't feel any joy, any pleasure of my life. And I remembered then my childhood when I was reading these National Geographic magazines and when I was watching these movies about adventurers. And I somehow really wanted to be one of these guys, to have interesting life. And I was almost 30 when I realized I screwed up everything. I'm not that young anymore. And what happened with my dreams? My life is just not interesting. And then I promised myself, as probably I'm gonna have only one life, that I'm gonna make it interesting. I'm gonna make it fun. I like the statement of, was it Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Media? He says that the life shouldn't be that you keep yourself as safe as possible to go through life, but it should look like an airplane that is flying and gets into the storms and it's being shaken and it's so many things are happening, and then at the end of your life, the airplane lands and you're like, whoa, that was crazy. So I promised that I will do my best to have interesting life, to be that adventurous guy that I was watching on TV and reading in the interesting magazines. And I explored the new lifestyle of being an adventurer. If you one day have the time, you can have a look on other of my movies on my channel. Some of them are in English, some of them are in Bulgarian with English subtitles. And I fell in love with these adventures and reaching my limits. Just to do some crazy stuff, to go outside, build an igloo and wait for the northern lights. To do super long trip, to push my limits to run 160, 170 kilometers and then make a movie about this. And then what started happening is I made this YouTube channel and some people started following me, and that was quite interesting thing for me. And some of the movies got quite an attention in Bulgaria. And as a result, I was invited many times in the national TVs to talk about my adventures, how I changed my lifestyle from super boring to super adventurous. And I thought, hey, hold on, can I make it living out of this? How can, because I still have to work and now and then find some time for adventures. But when I was going to work, I felt this was waste of time, you know. I'm not in love with my work. I just want to go on adventures and film them. And then I started dreaming about monetizing my adventures. So nowadays, some people call this influencer, but I don't like this word. I just started sharing my adventures and making movies. And soon I started even screening my movies on cinema theaters in Sofia. And this freaked me out. I'm like, come on, I don't have any experience with adventures, almost zero. And I have zero experience with movie making, but I figured out how to make some movies. I collect the files. And then I even dared to screen this in a real cinema theater. And I was afraid that no one would come and watch, but actually tickets were sold within hours. And things started rolling on. And many people now support me, support my work, and I'm trying to find ways to monetize my hobbies and basically to make this my dream job. Because the dream job is to find what you really love, step number one, and step number two is to monetize it. To monetize means how to make it living out of your dream. And my dream is to be an adventurer and to make movies about my adventures. I think I achieved this, and now I'm almost achieving full-time adventurer. And this is what drives me. That was your question. What drives me to do all this? What drives me is that I spent 15 years of my life of doing a job that I didn't like. 15 years, can you imagine? This is like almost your entire life. Yes, I was going to work and I hated every single day because I didn't like my job. And then it came this moment when I decided, hey, I'm gonna have the life I wanna have because I'm gonna have only one life. And I'm gonna do all my best and I'm gonna put all my efforts to go on adventures and to do what I really love. And this is what drives me. And ever since I started, my desire for adventures only goes up. And more people are texting me, emailing me of how much they enjoy my adventures and how much they're thankful that I'm sharing. And yes, this is what drives me, that I completely changed my lifestyle from super boring and unhealthy to quite interesting and healthy. And once you start and once you experience this change and that you live your dream, basically, you cannot stop. I just cannot stop. If I now think going back to my boring life, life is over for me. I don't want to spend one day in my life doing something I don't want to do anymore. I'm done with this.
So what about your friends? Are you lonely wolf, or there is somebody like from your surrounding who is running with you or going on adventures? So
about my what?
like your friends or surrounding around you, are they like more into sports or extreme sports, or just like somebody who is just there and love to do it by your own?
So when I changed my life, actually, also my social environment changed a lot, and that happened naturally. And with most of the people from the past, most of my friends, it happened like this, that at some point I realized that I have no longer common interest. And my adventures and new lifestyle met me with the best people on planet Earth. I found so many new friends with similar interests. It's like-minded people. And actually, to be honest, I didn't have many friends in the past. I was boring, my life was boring, and this would bring boring environment in my life. And in boring environment, you need boring people, and then no one is happy there. But now it's different, and most of my friends are super adventurous people. Like, I'm so happy with them, so proud of them. And they are people that you see the spark in their eyes. They're just so alive. And I love also this social aspect of my life, that it changed since I started my adventures in different lifestyle.
Thank you so much.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. I have the same point of the life. I'm doing every day like it's my last one. So
okay. Good luck.
There is a question. Come here, lady.
Go ahead.
I would love to ask you
Stop and speak.
if you have every day like almost the same training, or and you are making your trainings, or if someone is coaching you.
Okay, guys, I'm so happy that you're asking such a wonderful questions, honestly. And your questions remind me to talk about something important. If you want to do sport and to be active, physically active in a long run, it has to be fun. And I have to be honest, as much as I love running, if I only go for a simple run every day, I would get very, very bored. So I don't have a coach, although this might be a good idea, but I don't have a coach because I'm not aiming very good results. And the knowledge I gained so far from all the books I read is enough for me. And I'm trying to make every day outdoors is some sort of game. One day I can go and run here with my skis. Here in Lapland, we have these skiing trails. They start from here outside my building, and they're a few hundred kilometers, and I run on skis. One day I choose one fell, like a small hill, and I just run up and down, and I'm trying to gain elevation as much as possible within 1 hour or 2 hours. Next day, I'm gonna run in a deep snow. Another day, I'll go to the forest to run. It's just, then I can take the bike one day and just cycle. Just that I'm trying to make it different every time and to make it playful, so it's interesting for me. It's not only about running. If it was only running, I don't know how can I run, like just run every day. So when I say running, usually people imagine that I'm just going for a jogging around the city. But no, I jump in the snow. Sometimes, you know, I meet friends and we are making some races, or we're cycling a lot. I'm just trying to make it, to diversify it and to make it different. Otherwise, it's very easy actually to get bored of any kind of sport. And that's normal. And then you lose the motivation. But I would like to tell you a few words about motivation. Many people, and I was the same, they see some very athletic person who is running like every day. And we tend to think, okay, this is one of these guys. They love running, they're so athletic, and they just can run every day. But I don't like doing it, and I don't feel motivated every day. But it's okay if you're not motivated. The point is to go to do sport even when you don't feel going doing sport. To be honest, when it's cold here, most of the time, if not all the times, I don't feel going for a run. I prefer to stay home in a cozy place, in my couch, having my cup of tea. It's so warm. It's wonderful. I don't want to go for a run, but I push myself. I force myself to go for a run. And I don't have a single case in my life that I regretted that I went for a run. It's difficult to get out the door, but once I pick a pace and I start running and I start, you know, having these hormones and adrenaline and I feel like flying, then I say, wow, I was about to miss that because I was too lazy to go for a run, but I'm so glad I forced myself to go for a run. So it's okay if you don't feel motivated. It's okay if you don't feel running. The point is to go do sport regardless that you don't want to.
Thank you. Some other question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Nothing. Nothing for now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost curious, I think.
We have one more.
Stay there.
We stay there, I have a lot of questions.
Don't be
So-
shy.
Okay, my question is, you have a specific program, I don't know, Monday running, Monday I do biceps or something, stretching. Do you have a special program, or just follow your flow, or you do what you want? Because when I have a
Yes.
program, it is easier to follow your progression. If you have a program, you see your progression easily. That
Mhm.
was
Yes, another good question. I think this is individual. I know many people who need the program. And when we go to the, sometimes I take my friends to the gym, friends that who have never been to the gym or who are not going often. And they're like, either they ask me, hey, tell me what to do, or they come with a list of their program. And this is how they prefer. This is how they have the things structured and they know what to do and they're not lost when they go to the gym. But I never had a program written. I'm just following my heart and I'm only doing the things I feel doing. And if I wake up and I feel cycling, then I go cycling. If I feel skiing, I go skiing. The same for running. And I never had in my life a schedule. But I'm not saying a schedule is a bad thing. If it helps you stay on track, have your schedule and try to follow it. But for me, I want to stay flexible. Sometimes I wake up and I feel running before the breakfast, before the coffee, and I go for a run. Sometimes I don't feel doing that and I don't want to force myself. And then I would go for a run in the afternoon. Or I don't do any sport until 8 p.m. And then I realize that the day's over and I start feeling guilty. I haven't done anything and having very late run. So I'm just so, I cannot care less about programs. I just really do whatever I feel doing, only in the moments when it's convenient for me. I don't want to force anything. If I have to make my assignment in the morning, and at the same time, my training schedule says that I have running, then I will skip the running and we will do the important things. We have to remember that life keeps going and it's not only about fun. And because if you are too strict to a schedule of your trainings, you have to sacrifice other aspects of your life. And in the long run, you might get a bit too much of this. And it's not fun to sacrifice too much. So I would answer to your question, it's not wrong, either decision. If it helps you stay on schedule, do it. But don't feel guilty if you break the schedule someday. The more important thing is, in the long run, to keep moving every day. Not only about running, it can be hiking, it can be cycling, but it's really, really, really important to be active every day on a daily basis.
But what if your job is not giving you so much option to be active every day? And you love the job?
Yes. Well, then you have to find your way. I don't believe you're working 16 hours a day. Most likely you are working 8 hours a day. And if you're working on a computer, then this you have to find the way. By the way, if you have this so-called sedentary job that you are sitting, let's say, most of the time, it's important to move every 30 minutes. Because when you're sitting, down in your legs, you have pumps that are pushing your blood all over. It's not only the heart that is pushing your blood circulation, but all over the body. And when you're sitting, you're compressing them, and your blood and nerve system is blocked in certain areas. And that's why it's important every 30 minutes to stand, move a little bit, make stops. I'm having this problem when I have to edit a movie. Filming a movie, you know, I go on a 5 days hike with my cameras and I'm filming all the time. But to make a movie out of this means maybe 10 days work on a computer from morning until evening. I'm telling you, it's about sometimes 15 hours a day I'm sitting and editing this movie. Then I will just have a break and go for a run. But what I do is I'm trying every 30 minutes or every 1 hour to stand up and make some push-ups, some squats. I have, if you see my home, in my room, I have all sorts of devices for training. Basically, you don't need to go to the gym or to waste the time to go outside. You just stand up for 5 minutes, exercise, make your blood moving, and get back to what you're doing. Of course, if you interrupt your work this way, when you sit back on the computer, it might take a few minutes until you get back on track. So then maybe if your day is usually 7 hours of work on a computer, then it will expand and it might be 9 hours. But during these 9 hours, you haven't only been working, but you have been exercising. So it's also about discipline and trying to implement your that's why I don't call it running or sport. It's about movement that you have to implement in your life. And especially for people like you who are working on their computer and not moving a lot. Especially for you, this is extremely important. Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
Don't be shy to ask. There are no wrong questions. I remember when I was a student, and in the beginning, my English was actually very bad. And they would invite us to ask questions, and I was just so shy. So don't be shy.
Hello. I have one question, which is regarding your diet. Like before, preparing for a long run, let's say Vitusha 100 or Pirin Ultra, stuff like that. What do you eat and drink while you're running? And after that, maybe vitamins, minerals, other supplementation, stuff like that. Like basically your diet and what supplementation you're using in all this before, during, and after it.
Yes, another good point about some supplementations. I think that's very important. And the most common mistake I see is that people, as soon as they get into sport, they think that they have to start taking supplements. Believe me or not, I'm not taking any supplements except vitamin B12, maybe 2 times a year. And now in the winter here in Lapland, we don't have sunlight. So I'm very vitamin D3 sufficient. You know, you get the vitamin D from the sun, but when you don't have it, this is bad because your energy level very, very low. So now I take vitamin D3 to try to substitute the lack of sunlight. Other than this, I'm not taking supplements. People think that in the gym, after the gym session, they have to take protein shake. There is no one in this room where you're now that is protein deficient. I am pretty sure that all of you consume more protein than you need. So I'm not totally against the supplements, but people have to know when and why they're taking some. And I know people who, for example, take multivitamins. Please don't take multivitamins. This is just a marketing trick. Vitamins, they work so different. Some of the vitamins are calming you down. Some of the vitamins are waking you up. And it doesn't make sense to put all these substances together and take it all at once. If you want to take vitamins, first make a blood test and check if you really need this vitamin. Because overdosing with vitamin, which means if you take certain vitamin that your body doesn't need, is more dangerous for your body than the lack of vitamin. So if you take multivitamins, maybe you don't need 90% of the multivitamins that are in this capsule. And then you're doing more harm than good. Once a year, I make a blood test. And it can tell you what you're deficient and if you need certain vitamins or minerals. If you are deficient on some vitamin, let's say I have a friend, for example, she is deficient on iron and she feels very low on energy. And she checked on the blood test and she saw that her iron level is very, very low. And she started taking supplements, iron, but the problem didn't go away. But actually, later on, she realized that her body cannot absorb the iron. Doesn't matter how much iron she gets. Your body doesn't take it. It just goes in the toilet. So if you want to take, for example, vitamins or minerals, make a blood test and check if you really need it. Most of the time you don't. And if you need it, check why you need it. Either it's not in your food, or either your body cannot absorb it. Before race, I don't change much, pretty much anything. I'm trying to eat every day healthy, which means lots of fruits and vegetables, like huge diversity. The more different they are, the better. And I love making smoothies. Smoothie with plant-based milk, banana, avocado, some seed, spinach, kale, kind of things. I put this in a blender, and this is the cocktail of vitamins and minerals and fibers. If you implement fruits and vegetables, then what is normal diet, believe me, you take enough vitamins and minerals, even if you're doing sport. During the race, I told you, I have to admit, if the race is very long, I just go run to these 8 stations, and whatever my body wants, I take it. Sometimes a glass of Coca-Cola. I never drink Coca-Cola, I promise you, never. But on a race, 2 cups, I don't care. This is like 5 days a year. After the race, again, nothing changes. Whatever I eat every day, this is what I eat before the race and after the race. Lots of fruits and vegetables. Once again, it's not wrong. I'm not saying you should go vegan. If you like cheese, if you like meat, go ahead. What I can advise you is please don't take processed food. This means chips, this means sausages. If you eat sausages and if you think you're eating meat, you're wrong. If you want to eat meat, buy a good high quality real meat and then you can eat meat. Sausage is not a meat. Especially if you are eating animal products, you will never go deficient on protein. So in this case, if you take additionally protein shakes, this comes a bit too much for your body to absorb the protein. And the biggest medical research in the world, it's called actually China study. It's one book, investigated the consumption of protein. And they noticed that in societies with higher intake of protein, the more protein people take, the more they get diabetes, allergies, heart attacks, and all the health problems. I am just plant-based, and I don't take any addition, and I'm doing every sport every day, and this is for a few years now, and I feel pretty good. So don't rely on supplements. Any more questions?
I have one.
It's more of a personal experience than a question. So I only ran half marathons. I have 5 or 6 of them. So I think it's important to know that going on a race is not the best time to try new things. So for example, when you say you're drinking Coca-Cola during the race, it's something that I would never consider, because you always have like the aftertaste of sugary drinks. And I actually did once like combine all of the mistakes that I knew about in one race in Sarajevo. So basically I drank the I don't know, like the power drink, and ate like the energy bar, and I cramped like, I don't know, kilometer before the finish line. Like I cramped so bad, like I was so out of shape, and like water dehydrated basically. So that's kind of what happened. Also, like with new shoes, you never try new shoes first time, like during the race. So that was about it.
When you are saying these things, you brought so many memories in my head from my experience, and it's really, really good point not to try new things. And when you guys asked me about energy gels, if you have never taken energy gel, don't test it on a race. As this young gentleman said, don't try new things. This is just such an important topic. When I say that sometimes I take Coca-Cola or something else, chocolate on a race, it's not a new thing to me. My boss what is Coca-Cola from the past, and I know how I've tested this before. But as this gentleman, if you go on a race and put your brand new shoes and take energy gel that you have never taken before, this is a recipe for disaster. It's really, really good point. If you have this aid station with food, if there is a food that you haven't eaten before, don't take it, just ignore it. First, that you don't know how your body will react. And second, if you take a new food, for especially energy gel is actually artificial food. It's mostly white sugar, but has also, so this makes like a form of ingredients that has never been into your body. And every time when you consume food, your body, what it does is it's reading the algorithm of the food, and it says, okay, this is, for example, bread. I recognize this food, I can take it. You take chocolate, okay, I have had this before, I can take it. But you take energy gel, and it's very different formula, and your body gets confused, and it says, okay, I haven't had this before, I don't know what's that. I maybe should throw up, I maybe should get rid of that. Or your body is saying, I maybe should start feeling sick. So something like this. So it's very important not to try anything new on an important hike or on a race. Very good point.
Because we are running out of the time, last question, please.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Very good.
You
Very
were
good
telling at the beginning about that you learned a lot from books or articles about healthy diets and vegan. Is there any book or articles you want to recommend?
Yes, there is. So why I run is because of that book, Born to Run. It is more philosophical book about running, and it just got me inspired. But it is not a book that you're gonna learn many things about food. My so-called Bible is. Hold on, I have two books just behind me. So first, one book that I don't have here, it's called China Study. It's basically American medical teams made the biggest ever medical research on food and how it impacts our body. It's called China Study. There's also online book, you can listen it. It takes maybe 8 hours to listen the whole book. Another book is Fiber Fueled. It's about running. There's one book, Faster. There are also plenty of other books that I don't really remember now, but that's a good point to mention that you can email me or you can text me, find me on my social medias, and you can ask me anything, guys. I'll be happy to answer. Maybe I can give the email to your teachers, and you can email me. You can find me on Instagram. It's you know, and check some of my work there. My Instagram is unlock your hero. It's unlock_your_hero. Please feel free to email me, to text me about anything. If more questions you had and you were too shy to ask, or in future, sometimes I'm a bit slow answering because people are texting me, but I will get back to you, I promise you, if you ask me anything. So that's about the books that really gave me so much knowledge. And it's I'm also reading lots of scientific articles. But, you can go to Google and just type whatever topic you want to explore, and you get a scientific paper on this. Don't relate, you know that, but don't relate too much on randomly shared articles on Facebook or something like this. Most important is to be able to verify the information, because sometimes something is written and it looks pretty good, pretty reasonable, but if you have the background knowledge, you can tell that this is not science. This is someone's opinion. Opinion is one thing, science is another thing. So it's nice to be able to distinguish what is true when you read it. In these books that I recommended, I believe they're legitimate and it's true science. So the organizers said that we are running out of time.
Yes, unfortunately, you're very inspired and very, I think, listenable. Everybody would love to listen to you more, because the best stories are based on the personal experience. So, and you know, when you can speak about yourself, is the best when we're speaking about science. So,
thank you. Thank you, guys.
Since you're already late 10 minutes, I will give you some few minutes more to give some final words, some advices, some suggestions to the participants, and to say goodbye to us for now.
Yes. Well, to be honest, guys, I don't know how the time in my life flew so fast. And I think it was yesterday when I was in your place and in your age, and someone like me that I consider as quite old would be sharing their experience, honestly, as if it was yesterday. And I don't know, I remember not to give up. This is more like philosophical advice. Not to give up on your dreams. They will not be easy to achieve, but if it was easy, everyone would have been achieving them. And that's the beauty. And I'm talking from a perspective of a person who totally changed his life. Once again, from super boring, I had the most boring life that you can imagine, and unhealthy, to living my dream. And I want you to know that it doesn't matter how hard it is, small steps every day, and then you're gonna find one day really doing what you love doing and being super healthy and active. I promise you it is possible. I promise you it is not easy, but this is actually the beauty of the dreams. That's all I can say. And once again, text me, email me. I promise I'll get back to you with whatever it comes in your mind.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for questions. And now is your coffee break, but it's working coffee break. Please, you have to finish reports because we have only video for 24th, for example, and you didn't finish. So we need to finish, having finished all the reports, all things until end of the coffee break, because after coffee break, you have to work on another thing. Please. Thanks so much and see you here at 11:30. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hold it up when you stop the recording.